Tucker, thank you. All right, welcome to Hannity. Tonight, we begin with some good news. Al-Qaeda's top terrorist, Ayman al-Zawahiri, is now dead thanks to a successful U.S. Drone strike. This is our U.S. military, our intelligence community at their very best once again. Unsurprisingly, he was killed in Afghanistan, where terrorist organizations, it's now become a safe haven. They have been rapidly gaining ground since Biden abandoned the country last year, leaving behind scores of American citizens, green card holders, despite this promise he made almost 1 year ago to the day. Take a look.
Are you committed to making sure that the troops stay until every American who wants to be out is out?
Yes.
So Americans should understand that troops might have to be there beyond August 31st.
No, Americans should understand that we're going to try to get it done before August 31st.
But if we don't, the troops will stay.
If we don't, we'll determine at the time who's left.
And
if there are if there's American citizens left, we're going to stay till we get them all out.
By the way, I know I'll get slammed by Mediaite. It was Kid Rock. I know who Kid Rock is. I've been to many of his shows, and I'm a big fan of Chris Rock. I do know the difference. Slip is, you know what it was? It was a Joe Biden moment. It's that simple. Anyway, according to Secretary Blinken, back to the serious part of the program, there are still Americans trapped in Afghanistan as we speak, along with thousands of people with American green cards and our Afghan allies, at least the ones that were not killed yet by the Taliban. And keep in mind, Joe didn't just leave people behind. Billions and billions of dollars worth of the most sophisticated U.S. weapons systems, which, as Biden warned way back in 2007, and he was right then, will pose a grave threat to every American. Take a look.
If tomorrow the order goes out from I'm President of the United States, I issue an order, end the war today, begin to withdraw all American troops. It will take a year to get the American troops out. Do you hear me now? That's the truth. It will take a year to get them physically out. Now, if you leave all the equipment behind, you might be able to do it in 7 months. And you leave those billions of dollars of weapons behind, I promise they're going to be used against your grandchild and mine someday.
Is that Joe Biden anything like the Joe Biden today? That was Joe Biden in 2007. Sadly, he was right. Modern day Joe Biden, a much different man, weak, frail, a cognitive wreck, totally controlled by radical, socialists inside his party, the climate alarmist cult. And as a result, the world is a much more dangerous place. ISIS, Al-Qaeda, surging in Afghanistan. The mullahs of Iran, they are threatening now to build outright a nuclear weapon, blow up New York City. That is a direct threat. North Korea's little rocket man back in action, prepping a 7th nuclear weapons test. And we, of course, know Vladimir Putin invaded Ukraine, engaged in what is now a long, bloody, protracted war conflict in Europe. And it doesn't seem anybody wants Ukraine to win the war, or they would give them the munitions to actually win it. And don't forget, Putin's prior invasion of Ukraine was also under the Biden-Obama administration. That was the annexation of Crimea. And by the way, let's not forget about America's biggest geopolitical foe. And that brings us tonight to China. The CCP, China's ruling communist dictatorship, they are now threatening to murder the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, shoot down her plane for daring to visit our ally country, Taiwan. Now, despite these threats, it is possible that the Speaker could be landing in Taiwan as early as tomorrow. At this point, Pelosi has no choice but to visit Taiwan. She got to go. At this point, you cannot. America cannot be bullied on the world stage by the CCP. They can't. And by the way, I doubt China will shoot down her plane, as that would be a massive act of war, a war they hopefully know that they would lose, frankly, a war nobody with a brain would ever want. And still, Pelosi has received little to no support from President Biden, who appears more than content to kind of cower in fear and leave Pelosi out to dry. So far, Biden is refusing to hold China accountable for anything. He won't even comment on the direct threats against our speaker. Whether you like her or dislike her, doesn't matter. She's 2 heartbeats away from being president. And instead of speaking up, of course, this comes after the Chinese President Xi humiliated Biden last week, and Chinese media was all too quick to get all that information out there. Joe should have pressed President Xi himself. What about the origins of COVID? What about China's unfair trade practices? What about China's oppression against the minority Uyghurs? What about intellectual property theft? What about them flying their fighter jets in Taiwan airspace and talking about invading Taiwan, or as they call it, reunification, as President Xi likes to claim? This didn't happen under Donald Trump. No one in the CCP was threatening to kill Nancy Pelosi, even as the Taliban stopped attacking Americans under Donald Trump. No American was killed by the Taliban in Kabul in Trump's last 18 months in office. Why is that? Why did Little Rocket Man stop testing his nukes? And Putin didn't think about invading Ukraine when Donald Trump was president. It's called peace through strength, and it works.